Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads, it's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
They were stunned when they heard about the Northern Demon Country. Then they asked,
"How did you know about the Northern Demon Country?"
they were very vigilant, as if he had touched their bottom line.
I read about it in books by chance. I didn't know a country exclusive to the Demon Clan exists in this world.
Zane Martel could clearly tell something was amiss from their reactions, but he concealed his emotions and said calmly. Klain and Katie noticed Zane Martel did not seem to have any malicious intentions, so they put down their guards, did not hide anything, and said,
"Of course we know. After all, we are from the Northern Demon Country. Not only us, but most of the members of the Demon Clan in the Dark Wolf Hall were once citizens of Northern Demon Country. But now..."
Speaking of this, Klain fell silent and stopped talking. Zane Martel was startled to hear that. Almost everyone in the Dark Wolf Hall was a citizen of Northern Dark Demon Country. If that was the case, they must be very clear about the current situation in the Northern Demon Country. Zane Martel wanted to ask more, but Katie stopped the conversation from going any further.
"We don't feel like talking too much about the Northern Demon Country. Zane Martel, I'd also advise you not to pry too much on this aspect. Knowing too much will not benefit anyone."
Zane Martel was startled and frowned. It seemed that the influence of the turnover in the Northern Demon Country had far exceeded Zane Martel's imagination. After saying goodbye to the two, Zane Martel did not return to his residence. Instead, he wandered around the Dark Wolf Hall. Looking at the massive Dark Wolf Hall, he secretly transmitted a voice message to Bo Thompson.
Bo Thompson, you once promised me that if my cultivation reached the advanced level, you would tell me the whole story. I've already fulfilled my promise. It's your turn now.
Swoosh. A pink light flew out, revealing Bo Thompson's figure in the void. She had long silver white hair, a graceful figure, and plump breasts, while also radiating a faint fragrance.
"Young Master Zane, this is not the place to talk. Come with me."
Soon they came to a pavilion with no one around. At this time, Bo Thompson took out a jade pendant and put it on the table.
This?
Zane Martel picked up the jade pendant and started examining it. Other than being a good piece of jade, there was nothing special about it. The word Bo was written in the middle of the jade pendant, and there was a portrait of a three-tailed spirit fox on the back.
"This is the identity token of the royal members."
Oh, the royal members. What? Do you mean the royal family? In that case, aren't you...
Zane Martel was shocked. He jumped up from his chair and looked at Bo Thompson in surprise.
"That's right. The three of us, the three-tailed spirit foxes, are part of the royal family of the Northern Demon Country. We are in charge of the entire country. But about 10 years ago, a coup broke out in the Northern Demon Country, and the pseudo-royal family was put in power. The war lasted for a long time. In the final battle, our army suffered a crushing defeat, and my three-tailed spirit fox clan almost died in that battle."
It was as if she had experienced a lot of calamities. When Bo Thompson talked about this again, there was no emotional fluctuation in her expression at all. On the contrary, she looked extremely calm, to the extent where she was even a bit indifferent.
Then, what about my father, Ezekiel Martel? How did he know you?
At that time, we were chased by our enemies, and we were either killed or injured along our way. Your father met us by chance and saved us. After that, he took care of us all the way. But later, the enemy still found us. In order to cover us and for us to escape, he gave me the token and asked me to go and find reinforcements.
Is the token the necklace you wore at that time?
Yes.
Bo Thompson was honest. Perhaps somehow Ezekiel Martel believed Zane Martel would undoubtedly save them. Bo Thompson had met Zane Martel by coincidence and followed him until he achieved the advanced level. Zane Martel fell silent, his thoughts racing. The Northern Demon Country was immense, its territory much larger than Eastern Palm. Among the Demon Cave members living there, very few were as friendly as the three-tailed spirit fox. Most were bloodthirsty and cold-hearted, especially towards human. Zane Martel could only imagine the torment his father Ezekiel Martel had suffered during this period. As he thought of this, Zane Martel clenched his fist tightly, anger erupting from his body, stirring up raging flames.
Northern Demon Country.
He wished he could immediately fly to the Northern Demon Country and kill all his enemies, rescuing his father. But he knew he was at his wit's end, and the three-tailed Spirit Fox clan was nearly wiped out. He didn't know where the remaining royal family members were hiding. It was easier said than done to conquer a country. Alone, it was almost impossible.
Half a year. Give me another half a year. Within half a year, I will save Sinergiu and head to the Northern Demon Country.
Zane Martell swore to himself. Perhaps he would also find out the relationship between the Dark Wolf Hall and the Northern Demon Country, and the connection between the three-tailed Spirit Fox and Ezekiel Martell. After hearing Bo Thompson's story, Zane Martell's entire body was filled with anger. Kill. He wanted to kill them. Zane Martell sent Bo Thompson away and then arrived at a place called Demon Spirit Hall, where the fights of the Dark Wolf Hall took place. The Demon Spirit Hall was massive, with at least a dozen large fighting rings inside. Every ring was occupied, filled with combat battles. Suddenly, a man in his 30s was sent flying out of the ring closest to Zane Martell.
Ha ha ha. You think too highly of yourself. Is there anyone else who still dares to challenge me?
On the ring stood a human martial artist of the first level advanced level, his body emanating strong, vital energy. At that moment, Zane Martell's anger was still raging, so he jumped up and landed in the middle of the arena. The other fighter looked at him with disdain.
You're only at the early stage of the first level at the advanced level, yet you're challenging me? You're looking down on me too much.
The man shouted and attacked Zane Martell, pressing his palms together and releasing dazzling lights from their centers.
Ancient Buddha palm.
There was a loud explosion. Zane Martell's eyes turned cold, his body unmoving. He didn't even think of dodging, as though he wanted to be struck. Thud. Zane Martell was sent flying, landing dozens of meters behind. Smoke rose around his body, but there was no blood at all.
Haha, that's all you got? You're way too confident of yourself, aren't you?
Weak? No. It wasn't that Zane Martell couldn't dodge, but he didn't want to dodge. Hearing everything about Ezekiel Martell, Zane Martell felt dizzy. He wanted to vent his anger and numb his feelings by hurting himself. This way, he could finally feel the world around him was real. However, the next moment, Zane Martell stood up, his eyes revealing a fierce glint.
Come at me, again.
The crowd fell silent, watching Zane Martell with a mix of awe and fear. What would happen next? Would Zane Martell's fury be enough to overcome his opponent? The tension in the air was palpable as everyone waited with bated breath for the next move. The fight was far from over, and the stakes were higher than ever. The man gaped slightly and surprise flashed in his eyes.
You took my palm by force, but nothing happened to you?
He frowned and looked at Zane Martell warily, but he did not make a move.
You want to fight, don't you? Well, if you don't want to make a move, I'll do it then.
Zane Martell released a dangerous aura that enveloped the man, causing his heart to beat faster.
What aura is this? How could it?
Zane Martell's figure flew out like a fast-moving human cannonball. He didn't use the wind serpent step or the power of wind. However, the wind and waves triggered by his move were like layers of iron walls that almost knocked the man away. A horrifying force gathered on his fist as he hit the man's abdomen, sending him flying away. With a loud thud, the man flew out of thin air and was directly slammed into the wall, leaving a huge pit behind. The man spat out a mouthful of blood, looking petrified. The surrounding crowd, including those fighting in the ring, turned around to look at Zane Martell. They were taken aback.
How did he beat Lucas Sanderson so easily? What's the background of this young man? I don't recall seeing him before this.
Exactly. Lucas Sanderson has occupied the ring for such a long time, yet he was defeated by one strike. This young man's too powerful.
Inside the pit on the wall, the man named Lucas Sanderson walked out with difficulty and glared at Zane Martell. In the past few months, Lucas Sanderson had not failed in any of his battles, yet Zane Martell defeated him so easily. His dignity would not allow him to give up easily. At that moment, a stone-like shadow appeared above Lucas Sanderson's head. The shadow seemed to be Lucas Sanderson's martial spirit. The air around them suddenly tensed. Lucas Sanderson spat out blood and looked a little haggard as he said,
This ring belongs to me, Lucas Sanderson. I have His Highness Aaron backing me up. If you want to compete with me for the ring, you should consider if your background is strong enough.
After hearing this, the last bit of worry in Zane Martel's heart was relieved, so he was beating Aaron instead. At first, Zane Martel thought it was not good for him to randomly attack someone. However, he had now completely eliminated his guilt. Since this man was affiliated with Aaron, Zane Martel no longer needed to watch out for anything.
Sacred peak pressure.
The stone on Lucas Sanderson's head flickered. An enormous mountain shadow was formed above Zane Martel's head. Its imposing manner was like a rainbow as it smashed down.
Iron body!
He used only one hand to lift up the entire mountain shadow. Then his eyes were as sharp as lightning as his fingers flicked out the sword energy and pierced through Lucas Sanderson's arm in an instant. Several more sword energies were released and grazed Lucas Sanderson's limbs, causing him to fall to the ground, unable to get up. The mountain shadow disappeared as a result.
Tell Aaron if he doesn't like me, send someone after me now. I won't wait for him.
Zane Martel walked to Lucas Sanderson and kicked him down the ring. The onlookers sighed at that scene.
Is he out of his mind? How dare he provoke the Wolf Prince? Although we all know Aaron is weak, he has many powerful followers around him. For him to make a scene like this, I don't think he'll be able to leave the Demon Spirit Hall.
Lucas Sanderson gritted his teeth and limped out. The anger in Zane Martel's heart dissipated a little. Indeed, he needed a platform to vent his anger. He sat down and waited for the enemy to seek revenge. 10 minutes later, there was a series of loud and mighty footsteps by the entrance of the Demon Spirit Hall. A group of 10 people rushed in from the outside, enraged. The leader was none other than Aaron, who was once defeated by Zane Martel. Behind him was Lucas Sanderson, who looked terrible. Trailing them was a large group of strong fighters at either the first or second level of the advanced level. They looked intimidating, their presence enough to make the bravest of men falter.
Larry Shaw, you must be out of your mind to occupy the ring and even try to overtake my status here.
Zane Martel frowned. He did not expect Aaron to come and get even with him for occupying the ring. It seemed that the fighting ring of the Demon Spirit Hall was more important than he had anticipated.
You're right. I'm occupying this ring.
As soon as he finished his sentence, the people around him began to whisper.
This ring is related to the fights among the Wolf Princes and Princesses. Does this mean this Larry Shaw is a follower of one of the Wolf Princes or Princesses?
I don't know, but it seems like it. Otherwise, why would an ordinary person come here? He couldn't come here to fight, could he?
Zane Martel heard their conversation and narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the arena's ownership had something to do with the dispute between the Wolf Princes and Princesses that Katie and Aaron had mentioned. No wonder Aaron sounded so nervous.
Did Katie send you here?
You don't have to know the answer. Instead, you should worry if your men have the guts to fight me.
Aaron could not tolerate him anymore and threatened him by saying,
Fine. Do you think you're the only combat genius in Dark Wolf Hall? Ryder Jackson, go up there and kill Larry Shaw.
Yes, Your Highness.
Right then, a burly man behind Aaron, who looked like a walking gorilla, walked onto the ring and looked down at Zane Martel with disdain.
You're just a weak human with weak limbs. I can crush you with only one finger.
The burly man's muscles squirmed and his body suddenly magnified. He was now 3 meters tall, a meter higher than Zane Martel, who was 1.8 meters tall. He could grab Zane Martel's entire body with just his gigantic palm alone.
Why so much nonsense when you can just show me through action?
Sure, I'll twist your neck and break it.
A huge fist swiftly smashed over and heavily landed on Zane Martel's body. The fist contained no vital energy, but its strength was extremely shocking. Zane Martel retreated backward. He stretched out his legs to regain his balance. Only then did he stabilize his body. A look of surprise appeared on his face.
What terrifying strength.
The punch had at least a strength of 1,000 kilograms, or even nearly 10,000 kilograms. However, it was completely ineffective before Zane Martel.
You only emitted a few wisps of hot smoke after taking my punch. You're quite capable, aren't you?
Right then, Aaron instructed,
Ryder Jackson, stop playing. Get rid of him immediately.
Yes, Your Highness.
Ryder Jackson's figure changed again. Clusters of black fur appeared on his face and limbs as he transformed into a Mount Giant ape. The sight of Ryder Jackson transforming into a Mount Giant ape sent chills down everyone's spine. The atmosphere in the hall grew tense, the air thick with anticipation. All eyes were on Zane Martel, who stood his ground, unwavering. Zane Martel took a deep breath, his muscles tensing in preparation for the onslaught. The giant ape towered over him, casting a menacing shadow.
This is it. I won't back down.
Ryder Jackson's massive form lunged forward, his fist crashing down with the force of a landslide. Zane Martel sidestepped at the last second, narrowly avoiding the devastating blow. The ground shook with the impact, a crater forming where Ryder Jackson's fist had struck. Zane Martel knew he couldn't afford to let his guard down. Every move would be critical in this life-or-death struggle. Zane Martel's eyes darted around, searching for any advantage he could exploit. His mind raced, formulating a plan to counter the overwhelming strength of the giant ape. Just as Zane Martel prepared to launch his counterattack, a deafening roar echoed through the hall. Ryder Jackson, fully transformed, was an unstoppable force. The audience watched in breathless anticipation, knowing the climax of this fierce battle was imminent. The final showdown was about to begin, and everyone in the Demon Spirit Hall braced themselves for the explosive conclusion. Would Zane Martel's cunning and skill be enough to overcome the brute strength of the Mount Giant ape? Or would he fall under the relentless assault? The answer hung in the balance, leaving everyone on the edge of their seats. The atmosphere in the arena crackled with anticipation. The crowd buzzed, eyes glued to the two figures on the ring. Zane Martel and Ryder Jackson, the mountain giant ape, faced each other, their auras clashing in an invisible battle of dominance.
Mountain giant ape, that comes just in time. I was just about to test if my iron body or your body is stronger.
Zane Martel's eyes glinted with determination. His body tensed, more than 500 runes appearing and covering every inch of him. The runes pulsed through his veins, turning his very blood into a conduit of raw power.
Iron body, go all out.
A terrifying pressure erupted from Zane Martel, completely overwhelming Ryder Jackson's formidable aura. The crowd gasped in unison, their disbelief palpable.
What a terrifying aura! Is he human? How could a human possess such strength?
It seems that he is on par with Ryder Jackson.
Ryder Jackson's face contorted with a mixture of surprise and anger. He couldn't believe this human dared to challenge him so brazenly.
You're bluffing. Do you have the guts to compete with me in strength?
A competition of strength? Sure.
The mountain giant ape was infamous for its immense strength, a force that had yet to find an equal. Zane Martel, however, was eager to test his own limits. The challenge ignited a fierce excitement within him.
Larry Shaw, you're too full of yourself. How dare you compete in strength with Ryder Jackson? Do you know he's the strongest among the first level of the advanced level?
Ryder Jackson, covered in fur, flexed his gigantic arms, muscles bulging with raw power. He launched his punch at Zane Martel with such force that the air itself seemed to shatter and tremble.
Come at me.
Zane Martel, unfazed, threw his punch. His arm, radiating silver light, met Ryder Jackson's in midair.
Good punch.
The collision of their fists sent shockwaves rippling through the arena. The force was immense, the resulting wind strong enough to make spectators shield their eyes. One of the figures was thrown out of the ring.
Zane Martel, didn't I tell you, you are no match for Ryder Jackson?
But Aaron's laughter died abruptly as he realized something was off. A familiar groan echoed from the ground.
Your Highness Aaron, it's me.
Aaron's eyes widened in disbelief. Ryder Jackson, not Zane Martel, lay sprawled outside the ring. The crowd stared, stunned and silent. Zane Martel stood alone in the arena, a solitary figure radiating the brilliance of a champion. His opponent, Ryder Jackson, looked haggard and defeated. The arm that collided with Zane Martel's punch had exploded, white bone and blood visible from the wreckage of muscle.
How could Larry Shaw be so strong to defeat even Ryder Jackson?
Everyone was dumbfounded, their expressions a mix of awe and fear. Aaron's face twisted with anger, his confidence shaken. He eyed his remaining subordinates, uncertainty gnawing at him. Could any of them stand a chance against Zane Martel? Just then, a human male stepped forward from behind Aaron, his demeanor calm and assured. His presence exuded the aura of a second-level, advanced-level warrior.
Your Highness Aaron, why don't you let me give it a try? He's only at the first level of the advanced level and filled with brute force. I believe I can take care of this.
The crowd gasped again, whispers spreading like wildfire.
Is he sending someone at the second level of the advanced level on the ring? That's shameless.
I know. For a challenge in the Demon Spirit Hall, unless the other party gave their consent, or both participants must be of the same level.
As the new challenger stepped onto the ring, the tension in the arena reached a boiling point. All eyes were on Zane Martel and the second-level warrior. The question lingered in everyone's mind. Could Zane Martel's strength overcome this new threat? The atmosphere was thick with suspense as Aaron's brows furrowed, his eyes locked on Zane Martel.
Larry Shaw, do you dare fight him?
Why wouldn't I?
Zane Martel's smile was unwavering. The man he was about to face was merely at the second level of the advanced level. Why would he be afraid? If these people knew that Zane Martel, who had just broken through the advanced level, had killed Samuel, who was on the second level, they would be terrified.
However, before he comes up, can anyone care to explain what the Demon Spirit Hall does? Also, what's the story behind these arena rings?
Silence fell over the venue, so profound that they could hear the breathing of those around them. The crowd thought they had misheard Zane Martel. Did he really not know about the Demon Spirit Hall? What was he doing here then? Just to fight random members?
Don't you know, I'll explain then. The Demon Spirit Hall is where the wolf princes and princesses of the Dark Wolf Hall fight. Demon Spirit is the same as martial spirit in the human context. Thus, the Demon Clan calls them Demon Spirit, and that's how this place was named.
The crowd listened intently as the man continued to explain.
There's a rule in the Dark Wolf Hall. No matter if you're a wolf prince or a subordinate, if you can occupy the ring and achieve 100 consecutive victories, you are entitled to enjoy a holy light bath provided by the Dark Wolf Hall. It can greatly enhance one's martial spirit and make it stronger and more stable.
Upon hearing that, Zane Martel found it unbelievable. The strength and stability of the martial spirit were thought to be decided the moment it was condensed. Changing that seemed almost impossible.
Lucas Sanderson and the others had been able to hold on until 85 victories, and you happened to disrupt their winning streaks. If you agree to challenge someone of the second level in the advanced level, and if you win, your victory would be counted as a double win since there's a huge gap in your levels.
100 consecutive wins were almost impossible to achieve. Zane Martel nodded, now intrigued by the possibility of experiencing the holy light bath.
How many wins did Her Highness Katie and her subordinates achieve before this?
It turns out you're Katie's subordinate. They've won 80 rounds and have another 20 battles to complete.
20 battles. Fine. I'll help them achieve it in one go then. Aaron or any of you can come at me now. I'm glad to fight you.
Zane Martel's declaration bewildered everyone. Did he plan to win 20 consecutive rounds of battles on his own? Without losing even one round? That was ridiculous. Did he think the members of Dark Wolf Hall were useless?
You, come here.
He pointed at the man with a long face who had challenged him earlier. The man's expression darkened, feeling used as a stepping stone.
Since you are so full of yourself, I'll teach you a lesson to keep your head down.
The man leaped up, and a soft sword appeared in his hand, bursting out a colored glazed sword glow. It was so powerful that it created a huge abyss in the arena. The entire ring, even the entire Dark Wolf Hall, shook violently.
He's so powerful, as expected from someone at the second level of the advanced level. It seems like the result this time won't be disappointing.
The crowd watched with bated breath as the challenger stood poised, his sword glowing ominously. Zane Martel remained calm, his eyes focused, ready to face the oncoming storm.
Bring it on.
The arena was a cauldron of anticipation. Could Zane Martel overcome this formidable opponent and achieve the impossible? The answer hung in the air, tantalizingly close yet just out of reach.